Hi guys, how you all doing? Hi. Okay, so my name is Oxspring. I was one of a team of two who've made a game called #Dungeon. It's a roguelike dungeon crawler game, similar to The Binding of Isaac, but it uses Twitter to generate all of its content, which is a bit weird. So a little bit about me. I studied games computing at Lincoln University. If you know Ben over there, Ben's one of the lecturers. He was actually in charge of my project when I was there. I teach game club here at the MVA, that's why I wasn't there in the morning, because I was upstairs nurturing the future generations of game designers. I founded a game development studio with my friend Kieran Hicks. He's the other part of the team. We're Hitpoint Games. We mostly make games that use real-world data to drive what happens in them, so Twitter, Wikipedia, other things I might talk about later. And I really like bees, if you find that out from Twitter. This is a picture of Oprah Winfrey. Right. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to allow that. Okay, right. So, what is #Dungeon? #Dungeon was an experiment in coming up with a game that used Twitter to generate all this content. We didn't know if it was going to work. We did it as part of the third-year project, as an experiment to see whether or not people would use Twitter to make dungeons. This is an example screenshot of what happens in the game. We have a player in the middle, we have some slimes, we have some other stuff going on. Up in the top you can see the person who made that, so their Twitter account, their Twitter handle. They've got like health and there's maps and things. Each room in the dungeon is made using a single tweet to a specific hashtag. Okay? Here's another example of a room in the newest version of the game. There's their Twitter handle. We've got room ratings in there now at the bottom. We've changed the UI up and things and made it a lot better based on player feedback. There's a little guy again. The original idea, picture a summer's day last year. I was sitting at a barbecue, looking on Twitter, and I was like, Twitter's got 140 characters. Could you make a room that was 10 by 14 and just populate it with all the different letters from the tweet, and all those letters would be different things. So for example, like G would be goblin, R would be rock. And I ring up Kieran and I go, could we do that? And he goes, sure, why not? Let's give that a go. And he goes, we'll use GameMaker. And I was like, can't we use Unity? And he was like, no, we're using GameMaker. I was like, okay, fine. So we used GameMaker. Which is fine. GameMaker's great. I love it now. But at the time I didn't, because I'd used Unity for ages. So my first thoughts were this. This is a tweet by some guy called Liam Payne. I just searched earlier because I didn't know I was doing this presentation until this morning, so I did this presentation about half an hour ago. This is a tweet, says, I am the flashing toothbrush master. I don't understand that tweet. I don't know why that tweet's a thing, but essentially you make a simple sort of ASCII roguelike game down the bottom using those letters and just populating a room with it. That was boring. That was awful. That was terrible. That was just, there's nothing, there's sort of like creativity there. It's just grabbing tweets. So we changed it slightly. And this is the second round of ideas of what we might do. Here is a tweet by someone called Master. So, are you ready to celebrate? Well, get ready. We have ice. Yes, ice. Water ice on Mars. We're the best day ever. What we do is we look at special words. So, for example, celebrate, or ice, or water, or Mars. And then we would generate a dungeon room based on that tweet from those keywords. So, for example, this dungeon room would be an ice room. It would have a water mage or a water trap in it from the water. It would have a treasure in it because of the celebration. And aliens, I guess, from outside, doesn't it? Maybe it's like a pickup of a chocolate bar, I don't know. Something like that. And it's tweet from Oprah. So you can see how I tied in earlier. Yeah. She said, hi, Twitters. Well, thank you for a warm welcome. Feeling really 21st century. For this one, we've got warm, and we've got Twitters. And what I do is I generate a fire trap or a fire room, like some sort of volcanic room, a swarm of carrion crows from Twitter, and then maybe a special Oprah Winfrey enemy, because it was Oprah, so she just one-shot kill you because she's Oprah Winfrey. So you just like bounce around the room and just land on you and die. Not to say that she's a large woman, but she's heftier than usual. But then third thoughts came along. We were like, that's a bit boring, that's still not very creative, we could do better. So we thought, what about Twitter as a collaborative space? Because Twitter's really collaborative. We have like hashtag game dev and those different things that we can talk with one another and we can see each other's work. What if we could use that collaborative space to create dungeons and have people working together to make dungeons? So we designed this dungeon code thing. So you can see there's dungeon code there, and there's dungeon code here, and there's dungeon code over here, and that's a message thing that's in the game as well. And we worked on it for a while, and we wanted to make a tweak where you could sort of read it, and if you played the game a little bit, then you'd be able to understand what was in that room just from reading the tweet. So, for example, over here, we have a dungeon room at 15.8 in the dungeon, so the dungeon starts at 0, 0 in the middle, and it branches out in every direction. This is a 15.8. It's a library room, so it's got all books and things in it. It's got some clutter in it. I don't remember what it is. But I know that those are rocks and those are pots. And it's inside the dungeon called Leviathan. And all those dungeons, all these tweets come together to make separate rooms. And anyone can tweet to anyone else's dungeon with new rooms. So the dungeons go from being really small to begin with, and then everyone else starts adding to them and make them really, really big. These ones here, for example, this one here, this would leave a Dark Souls style message in the room for people to read. So you can warn people about where they're going in the dungeon and what might be in the next rooms. The idea was we were trying to make something where people could talk with one another and they could make really big dungeons together collaboratively. And Twitter made sense with that because it's a social media platform. And people were like to begin with, you can't fit that much in a tweet. 140 characters isn't very much, you can't fit like that much data in a tweet. But we always have extra room. No matter how complicated the dungeon seems to get, there's always more room to put more stuff in. So we've actually started going and making those single letters into actual words now. So, for example, Fire Mage is F Mage, and Water Mage is W Mage, and things like that. And there are also enemies in the dungeons which you can't do by using the in-game editor. You actually have to go and type the tweets in yourself, and you have to change the things. So there are dungeons with special things in them that we don't necessarily tell players and they have to work about themselves. Which they do, because they're wonderful machines of people who just go and mess with the code. So this is what Dungeon Editor looks like. So you get all the different, there's enemies, and there's magics, and there's traps, and there's clutter, and things that you can drag onto the enemies. Then when you hit the tweet button down at the bottom, it generates the code, and you stick it on Twitter. You don't have to do it that way, you can code it yourself as well, just into the Twitter browser, and some people do that because they're insane, don't understand why you do it, and then a dungeon looks like that. It's in the Dungeon Leviathan. What we found out from this is where I think we did a bit of research because it was a third-year project. We found out how it works as a team, how me and Kieran works as a team. I essentially come up with ideas and then Kieran codes them. And I do all the pixel art and things, and occasionally I'll code, but then we found out that our codes don't work together and it's just a bit of a mess. We found out people are picky, and some people don't want to tweet out dungeons on their own Twitter because it ruins their brand image thing. So a lot of them would create separate accounts. So a lot of them would be like stuff like just like Bob, @Bob, #100, and then they just tweet out things from that. Some people, however, made role-playing accounts. So they'd make like @Deathlord, and he would be the lord of his dungeon. And then he would talk, if someone completed their dungeon and said like, they tweeted back to him saying, I've beaten a dungeon, like, how dare you, I'm the ruler of my domain, you will lose. And that was really cool. Bit of a reason. It's a bit nerdy, but yeah. So that happened, and we had people doing that. And that was really cool. Someone within about 2 days of us setting up, releasing the alpha of the game, set up a wiki and had loads of information going on that. They went around and made a dungeon which had a single enemy in every room, and then they tested those enemies for how much health they took off, how much health they gained, how many hearts they had. And I didn't even know that because I coded it at 3 AM in the morning and was just giving them arbitrary values. And then there's a weird sort of build-play gap where we have a bunch of people, we took those metrics from the game, and we found those people would just build dungeons, they'd never play the game. And those people would play the game and never build dungeons. And there was no sort of mix. It was if someone was going to play a dungeon, they will have made the dungeon, they would play it, they'll test it, and then they'll go back to making it again. And they would never actually play it for just fun. And it was really weird. Also, Twitter is really, really slow. You can do about 5 calls a minute to Twitter to get all of the tweets, and you can only get 100 tweets at a time. Not that we ever expect like 100 people to be making a dungeon simultaneously, but originally, the original version of the game, we had the clients pinging Twitter and getting information back, and it took like about a minute to get that information and pass it all into the game. So instead, now it's done via our server, so our server gets the information and we have the clients come on the server and get the information from there, and it's about 1 million times faster. That's a real number. And then we took the information from that game and we made another game called Natural Election, which we did a Gamma post on, which predicted the outcome of the general election roughly by looking at the hashtag for the general election, doing a bit of sentiment analysis on it to see whether or not they were being pro or against a certain party. They're generating loads of MPs from that, and they came together and just beat the crap out of one another on a fake stage. And then we took whoever won each fight and then added them to a big running total. And we predicted the Conservatives were going to win, which was kind of cool. The future, we're going to release it on Steam in September, and it's going to go horrifically wrong, and people are going to tweet, and then they'll break the game within about a day, and they'll cry. But that'll be fine. And then we've got a couple of new games that use the same sort of idea of you are in a world and you are using real-time data, and they're sort of roguelike, as in you die and then that's it, we start again. So we have a game called Utopian. There is a copy of the most early alpha upstairs on the 3rd floor of this building right now to play. We've changed it completely now. It's now a three-dimensional cyberspace fighting, like dogfighting sim. But that uses Wikipedia updates. So every time someone edits a document on Wikipedia, something happens in the game. Every time someone does a malicious update on Wikipedia, it creates a virus that then starts infecting articles, and you have to try and take them out. And then we have another one coming out as well that uses RedTube, which is the one I particularly like. I find it quite fun to work on. So it's a Doom-style shooter where you're thrown into the second circle of hell, which is lust. And you go up against the raging hordes of demons that are all designed around different tags on RedTube. And it takes the last couple that people have watched and then generates a level based on that. So that's the thing that's happening. It's pretty fun. We had to sit there and make a scraper that got all the information. I think my programmer really enjoyed doing that. So you had to go around and check, find out all the different tags and things. RedTube have an API. Apparently, it's weird. But yeah, that's what we do, and that's Hashtag Dungeon and using real-time data and stuff. Any questions and things from that? Yes.
How many players do you have?
Playing Hashtag Dungeon at the minute. Last time I checked, it was about 175. We just did a bundle. And we've got about 100 new players from that, but not all of them have downloaded the game yet. I don't know how it's going to work when we actually release on Steam. I'm not sure if our server's going to be able to cope with it. We do have a backup, so Kieran's got his big rig at home, but if worse comes to worse, we can quickly switch from the server we've got online to his computer to share the load until we can figure out something. That's it.
Yeah. Do you plan to have the one from RedTube on Steam?
Yes. Oh yes. Most definitely. If I can do it, then I will, because they're so good. They get hatred on. So they can let that on, it'll be fine.
Yeah, but there are Americans, so violence is fine.
But it's still violence, it's just sexy violence. I mean, if you look at some of the demons we've designed based on the tags for that game, they're not sexy. No. You do not want to see threesome. It's not nice.
If you were the neighbors, it would be fine.
Yeah, it would be fine. Yeah.
What's the worst demon? What is the worst demon?
Oh god, what is the worst demon?
What does he do?
Double penetration's pretty bad. So there's a great big guy with 2 swords and 2 heads and 2 things. Yeah, flails. That's what they are. And he goes around and he just will chop them to bits. But it's just, yes.
Great talk. Do you have any kind of system for, although there is there, or new person, some sort of system for making sure that people can't produce dungeon sections which can't be solved? Or
We've got that in. Yeah, we do a bit of A-style pathfinding to check that there's a path between each door and every other door in the room. You can have it so we'll do a pathfinding to check that you can get around the room. So if you go in the room above, then it'll let you. But if not, I mean, we don't want to stop players making impossible dungeons, kind of, because we don't mind them doing that, I guess. It's all about player creativity, and if they decide to do that, then someone's just going to vote down the room, and then they'll never get seen by everyone else. We're using sort of a Reddit-style voting system to get like the best dungeons up the top and the worst ones down to the bottom. So if they abuse it, then so be it. But they're just cheating themselves out of karma. Yes.
Do you have your own dungeon generator?
We do have a random dungeon generator now and then Steam version. Originally it was all player generated, but because we want people to be able to play it offline, we've tried a randomised dungeon generator which takes preset rooms and also some randomly generated rooms just to allow them to do that offline. Because right now it requires a constant connection. Well, it requires a connection to Twitter when you create the first dungeon. So we did want something there so then they can play it offline because it just isn't fair. And I always want to play on the train, but I can't play on the train because it's not fair. So we put that in specifically for that. Anything else? Okay, right then. Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't see.
I was wondering if you played Michael Cook's Roguelike.
I have.
Pulls in names and art and mechanics from Google.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
He does a really good article on it. And there's a lot of interesting stuff on using Google prediction searches.
Okay.
So if in this game you start up and it says I dreamed I was a dog, right? Then the main character will be a dog. So Google Images for dog will pull in a lot of pixelating things, so this image of a dog over Google. And then the game engine will put in Google why do dogs hate? And then there's a lot of it says cats. So it then cats and then why do dogs like licking their dance? So licking their dance will tell you their power in the game.
I might put that in the red sheet rooms. Yeah, that sounds really cool. Yeah, I do love doing like this sort of like live data stuff because it makes it it's such a weird and unpredictable thing, and I like that kind of because it's a bit of chaos. So, yeah, that's really cool. That sounds great. You have to send me a link sometimes so I can look at it.
So as we speak.
Awesome, cool. That's good. I will turn on my internet in a minute and just get all the tweets and stuff. But yeah, is that everyone? Cool. Okay, thank you.